Thanks for tuning in to the Spread Your Wingspan podcast.
I'm Sara.
And I'm Jennie.
And we're your hosts, two friends who immediately bonded over our secret smut addictions. So join us as we journey together through our favorite romance and fantasy stories and discuss all things kinks, female pleasure, taboos, and more.
Make sure to check out the show notes for any spoiler alerts and content warnings. We're happy you're here. Let's get to today's pod. Hi, Sara.
Hi, Jennie. I'm all right. How are you?
I'm good.
Well, welcome everybody to the first episode of the Spread Your Wingspan podcast. We probably should introduce ourselves.
You probably should.
Yeah. So I'm Sara.
Okay.
And we're your hosts.
Everybody.
I think we should probably share why we're making this podcast.
Beyond just the delight of getting to talk to you.
Correct.
At one set hour every week. Okay, cool. Go ahead. You start.
Well, we both really love reading.
Yes.
It's just good to read about romantic books, which are all the rage right now. Mm-hmm. And we really built a friendship over making these same books. And I think in texting voraciously back and forth together, we realized we have quite a lot to say that we would like to share with others.
Yes, and I think for me, just the sheer delight that I get from picking up my phone and just truly laughing at your responses, and then just the back and forth that we have, I think is so lovely. And if we can bring that into podcast form, make the people happy, I am here for it.
Yeah, hopefully the goal is to make everybody who's listening laugh as much as we are laughing.
Yes.
So, feel some profound insights along the way. They started from the goal, but now we just go put the kids up. Let's start off listening a little bit about what is before we talk about the years. We should talk about our background as friends.
Yes. Yeah. Well, so should we talk about the first time we met and how it can be like T-minus 20 minutes for us to realize it's just our love for these spicy romance books?
Yes, and we were reading at something totally not related to what we
just said, and very professional, by the way. We were reading to collaborate on a project, and so we did not enter into that meeting thinking that we would disclose our secret dirty minds to each other.
It's a phenomenon I've ever shared with anybody,
which I think is hilarious because I'm such an an open book about this. I'm like, what do you want to know what stories we have? I will tell you. You want book recommendations? Tell me what you're into. I will get you there.
Yeah, I don't You pay people on my shell about it a lot, which is very funny. And, unpacking on my own time, okay, why is this something I've been ashamed of, basically? But it being interesting through my friends to talk about it, it's but I was buying groceries on symbols, in secret. And hiding it from my parents, and just I had one sentence in high school, shout out millions, who we read a lot of Harry Potter and fiction, and we disclosed that to each other. Oh boy, it was a very big deal. We were like, oh, how did you pick it up? Okay, and so that was a totally fine. Other than, I'm 34. It's very sad to me. You're stuck in this long.
Okay, so I have a confession. I've never read fan fiction.
Fanfiction is great.
I have heard. I feel like if I had 36 hours in a day, I could get through way more content than I already do. And not everybody's a champion speed reader like Sara, which that's gonna come up. I thought I read best. Oh Lord.
Which time is Olympic, actual races. Maybe there aren't.
Or you should create it.
Or I should create it
just so you could hear on competition.
Just doing it. And it's on brand for me. Yes, there's so much to read.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not really reading fanfiction anymore, although I heard some really wonderful recommendations for Draven Hermione fanfiction recently found an upper grade one that sounds new. Someone to dip my toes back in. Anyways, our first meeting.
Yes.
We're talking about business, so totally related. I don't even remember how we got on the topic of books, but it happened, and what I do remember saying she was that I had seen a lot of chat about this series called Foreigners.
Yes.
And that it was online that's to be read. Not a child, this is on my iPad or Kindle, but the first was Kindle.
Yeah.
And you lost your another one I can talk to you about.
Yes, I lost my mind. And I think it came up because you and our mutual friend Carrie did a master's program together in writing, which led to, okay, well, what are you reading? I think that was what happened. Because I didn't know how you and Carrie knew each other. And that came up. Yeah. So I think have had 8 women that I've had a similar life. And just being able to, it's almost like a club.
Yeah.
It's almost like a club. I feel like it's
for the both club, sure.
like, I feel like if you're in the book talk, bookstagram, romantasy world and you haven't read Avatar, like that's okay. Not that everybody has to read it, but I feel like most of our sets of culture know what that is. And so it's like when you see somebody that's wearing a baseball hat from your team, you're like, oh, you too. It's like, it's like our hidden little like, oh, you are part of my world. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Yes. So we got really excited and then decided to collaborate on the project. And then I think it was a very interesting couple of months where we were kind of, you were reading a book series that I had already read.
Yes.
So you were giving me the updates and I was getting really excited about that. But then we were also getting to know each other professionally.
Mm-hmm.
So then it was an interesting like, well, how what do I reveal? And they were like, oh, it's fine. I have no filter. This is who I am. And it was Sarah. So I'm like, this stuff, okay, this will do. But I'm going to just go there. And so it very quickly developed into a picking apart plot, devices and character lines. And oh my God, being able to quote different lines.
So good.
Oh, it's the best.
We shared, of course, I think just like a little continued. Yes. In all caps, with like last bits.
Oh, that's another thing. I never text in all caps. Except with extreme reactions to Sarah.
Jennie brings out me as a much lower filter, and what I bring out of her is a much higher rate of all caps.
It's like the enthusiasm, isn't it?
Yes.
And I also think it's funny that your husband now can guess when you're texting me.
He literally knows immediately based on the speed of my thumbs and then it says on my face and I'm trying because Jenny texts very fast. You know, I try to keep up. And you know what I do? Yes. And you don't sound fast enough. And the things that you do, I just divide make sure you do quite quickly. And I'll like laugh out of nowhere or hush to feel and he's like, are you texting Jenny? And I'm like, how do you sleep? I am Jenny's in the middle of her plane right now. Like, yes, yes. And I just feel what's joyful about this for me is like this is why even if this is the any right? Like any kind of art, any aspect of our culture, the talk is that good as well. Sarah, this is never been said before. But like what's so beautiful about reading in books is this is a solitary activity. But it's also something you can share and engage in together. You learn more about one another. We've built such a beautiful friendship because of this. Yes, these books are like the cornerstone. And I mean, so much of the book Instagram and TikTok and Unity, that's the whole time with that as well, right? And I think what's so important for us, even the like thesis on this podcast is this is an overwhelmingly female community. Is it exclusively? Absolutely not. Right? That doesn't actually matter at all. I think it's very coded female. And in that way, there's a lot of derision kind of being leveled. I was like, how dare these women find joy in something that is so quote trivial or non-serious. Well, it's not the highest brow literature. And people have for eons kind of like shit on the romance genre because of this too. But it's like, well, what offers us is something that maybe you don't need in life, right? Or like you don't understand that's okay, but there's really it's bad. Yeah. And it's like we're experiencing a real time together with our friendship, and hopefully we can split out together through this.
Yes. I think you also make a good point that, Instagram, social media can be such a flat place at times. And who is a stranger on the internet to say that we don't get to find our joy or our pleasure as women through things that other people might find trivial? But I think it just, never mind all caps text or like the particular lines that Resan says that we will be over and over and over again because they're just so good. It's some good stuff. Some good stuff. But we also had some really beautiful conversations as women, just sharing about like our childhoods, how we may have shame around our sexuality or being able to explore or being able to just plain talk about it openly and frankly with vulnerability with other women. I think that is also probably why a lot of women do respond to these books. And I read something recently that was like, well, why do we put these fictional men up on a pedestal? It's like, well, if real men listen to what we wanted, and Grant, I love you. This is not, do not take this as a personal statement on you. But if women were just able to ask for what they wanted and get it and be able to be themselves in a romantic, sexual, pleasurable way, would we be so into these? Probably still, yes, but there's a part of it for me in coming to the romanticy is like a yearning just to kind of see how different relationships can play out.
Yeah.
That's the fun thing for me. I'm in a happy, monogamous, heterosexual relationship. But I read these books and I'm just like, ooh, okay, so this is what other people can be doing. This is what other people do. This is another window just into how we're all the same and yet different. And we can be weird and we can be funny and we can be devastatingly so much in love.
Yeah.
I think all of that is just like really juicy and lovely.
So well said. Yes, very true. Yeah, and it's a way of freedom. It's a very safe way of freedom.
Yes.
And that to me encapsulates what women need.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. We won't even get into the case today because I think that would be too much.
I'll look about it.
That's going to be another storyline about, how books can be a safe way to just maybe explore things that you might not necessarily want to do in real life yourself, but intellectually, in an emotional way, want to kind of maybe just try it on in your imagination, what that might feel like.
Yeah, I actually think probably one of the best things you could do especially if you're, identifying, one, if you're in your teens, like actually think reading this kind of genre will give you such a sense of agency, the ability to be sentences that boundaries, but understand what turns you on, like what you're interested in, so much more so than, horror or movies or stuff set up on anime, because it's so in line of the character that you can put yourself in that place and think, what I'm on.
I just got chills as you said that. Yes.
Yeah. So anyways, we are recorded. That means that you're also discussing straight in the city and straight romance. And that's true about just being straightforward romance, not heteros, wisdom, not here for all of the romance. But we have to limit ourselves to just romance. There are some phenomenal romance that's out there. For example, we will be discussing C.S. Simone at length. And there's short stories. There's poetry, but there's a lot packing in that speaks to another day, and there's so much I didn't consider, and it's just as
agreed. I think just to I was thinking about as you were talking, I also would pick up my mom's like Harlequin romance novels. My grandmother, whom I was very close to, used to read. Looking back now, the content of like the romance novels written in the 80s. Oh boy, well, you really needed some sort of like in the beginning of justice. And I think that there's a level of respect that has developed, over, I'm 40, so started reading, just stealing books. And then later my grandmother would share the books with me, which also, Granny, I love you, but man, I understand that lifetime knew what you got out of them. I really wish I had asked her like why she liked those kind of books, because she read a lot of them and they were problematic, which,
we also need to be on their friends. Yes, not everything is for everybody. There are certain things that Sarah, me, loves, Jenny dislikes, and vice versa.
Yes.
Jenny has a much higher tolerance for discomfort.
Yes.
Than me. So there are certain books that can't. And that Jenny absolutely can. So yeah, that it would be so interesting to ask, what about this if it is healing, or like if it's not appealing, we still follow it. Why?
Yeah. Another thing I was thinking is that authors now will put the content warnings at the beginning of books, which I think is just a lovely way for people to have holes to say like, oh, somebody recommended this book or I saw it on BookTok, and then to be able to open a book and say like, okay, these are the themes that we're going to explore, and for the author to be respecting us enough as readers just to give us a little like, hey, I'm not yucking on your yum at all, but if this isn't for you, I want you to know before you dive in.
Yes,
let's all start from the same level of consent. Let's start from the same level of respect. Yes. And I think that is a beautiful addition.
I'm going to small hand.
Please do. Please do.
Okay, so trigger warnings in general. I take it to know already that almost 100% of the trigger warnings best are unidentified in this case, okay? And they are the ones saying, hey, readers out there, however you identify, you may come across this book containing graphs, initial language, and if that's something that really excites you, you don't often know such divorce experiences being suddenly something pops up. You want to suck it in. This connected to trigger for you. And suddenly you're pulling out the book, you're pulling shirt on, and it can be just a truly glorifying experience, right? So, yes, how beautiful. When in my previous career, I was an English professor, and I worked with many males. I would say I was a lecturer, so this is a cheer professor, and I was the only female lecturer amongst, I think, like 15 of us. And trigger lines are kind of the same. Coming up back then, it was 2012, 2013-ish, and I've always been all for it, because it's been many times as a student every year, especially in a class. You're reading a historic class, and I took upon something very exciting, and it's personal and triggering to me. And it's like, I can't discuss it, because I don't want to read this book anymore, because it's so awesome experience in a classroom setting. I want to protect my students. Mm-hmm. Every single one of those now professors was vehemently against trigger warnings. And like, I didn't stay from what is saying their point of view. Because how does it, what's the, I mean, like, it's censorship to inform the students what they like to read, and to give them the option to say small sections of the book, not to jump on this. Not when you're reading. Mm-hmm. Rarely are the triggering elements crucial to the understanding of the book. I would say
that I think is a big point. Please continue.
No, that's true. What I was trying to say was that so that they want to Lolita, and I was at what Lolita.
Oh, Lolita,
where the entire book is
and I also love the book, by the way.
Where the trigger line is but I also think of them. At what point is the understanding of one book in a canon with literature more important to the experience of the students? There are plenty of other books out there. That's also a good teacher. And each have to read some of this to remove something that I think should be super turning to incorporate and has experience about the sexual self. Like, what are we doing here? Yeah, we're professors. We're not like you, but I'm not trying to dictate. We're in charge of what gets read.
Yeah. And you're not trying to torture your students. You're trying to teach them critical thinking. Right. You're trying to teach them how to engage with material and kind of sort in their experience where they sit with it. So like I just raised my hand and said I loved Lolita. I thought it was a fabulous book. Full disclosure, Jeremy Irons reads the audiobook narration, which really I think added to my experience of reading it because I was so uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. So uncomfortable. But as Sarah, pointed out, there are things that I will purposefully consume because it makes me uncomfortable. Yeah. Because I want to confront either preconceived notions or confront, some things that aren't great in our society. And, is me reading Lolita going to change the world? No. Is there a reason why Lolita is taught in schools? Yes. But being able to care for your students, I think is a skill that is worth developing.
Yes.
And I also think I noticed that people don't take trigger warnings so much as content.
Yes. So that is a thing that has changed day and day plus. Body warning is a trigger warning.
Yeah, yes, absolutely.
But I think they use small, honestly, it was good for triggering a good trigger. And I think an English word, you will roll at the times to find out what works for us to keep us let's do, and you have one small word change.
Yeah.
And so even I'm like, whatever, I'm going to stick past that page.
The same thing is like throwing around the term snowflake. You need somebody who can't handle something. There's usually a reason why people can't handle things. Right. And it's not a flaw on their character.
It's not meekness.
No. Right. And yeah. So
yeah, all of that is thing. Anytime we are discussing something potentially triggering, we will absolutely issue a content warning.
Yes. And if we don't happen to say it in our, off the cuff, unplanned speaking, we will be sure to add it, in the video of our podcast and in the notes.
Yes. So that everybody can listen, feeling fully protected. Yes, that obviously is a goal of ours.
We want you to feel cared for on this journey.
That's like always anything else not your readers to feel.
Exactly.
What a tangent. What a fruitful tangent.
I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of tangents. This whole podcast is going to be tangents that are going to be beautiful and valuable.
Yes. I would love to ask, to pivot back to our date, this, wait, your journey, you mentioned reading organized books. You know, I want to both know about your histories of reading and medical assistance, but we are serious.
Yeah. So, you know this in outside podcast land, but my grandmother was a librarian. My grandmother that I mentioned that I was very, very close to. She was a librarian at my elementary school, and I just always knew her as my grandmother who would sit at the desk at the library that all of the students would walk by and say, "Hey, this is Cliff." She always had a book, which, my gosh, what a beautiful job to like be a school librarian. You know, to just get to sit and read and, you know, be social and hang out, and that's what she does. And she would be the first to admit that she did not have highbrow tastes. She was very well read, very educated. She read a lot of YA novels, also read a lot of smut. I will call it smut. My grandmother, I'm sorry. You never would have called it smut. You would have been very embarrassed for me to call it smut. But, you know, her and you know, my mom when I was younger and my aunties, they were always just kind of shuffling books around. My town library would have the like cheap book sale where, you know, it would be like a quarter or like a dime for a book. They would fill up these bags of these romance novels that, thinking back on it, I'm now realizing that like my whole town, all the women probably just like traded these books in perpetuity to raise money for the library, which is so great.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, so they would get the big pile of books and then they would donate them back to the library for other people to get in like next year's sale or whatever. So, you know, they would get to sit and discuss the plot, but they would sit and say like, "Oh, I really liked this one," or "Oh, I think you would really like this too." And just I think it's just kind of a lovely thing. It wasn't for them. They weren't going to get on a podcast and talk about, you know, what they liked, what they didn't like, but in their own way, they found a way to, you know, delve into the fantasy of, you know, another world. It was a lot of historical romance, which, man,
Not my particular thing.
I mean, you know, I tried to reread the series that my grandmother loved recently, and I could not even get 2 chapters in.
Was it a lot of thoughts members?
They would get all buzzed or
Yeah.
very, very little thought. You know, again, I'm not disparaging or anything. That's what they're into. So, I take my grandmother, she always was recommending books to me. She was always, you know, telling me where to find books in her school library. And I was a very shy child and I retreated into books. You know, I think not being able to put words to my anxiety and my shyness and my introversion was difficult as a child. But, you know, I know this isn't a unique case, but being able to read books where you felt transported to another world and also just the joy of learning to read. I really remember just feeling like I could fly because I could just pick up a book and immediately be somewhere else. I truly remember just the absolute sheer pleasure of like that beautiful space where you know how to read, but you're reading more and more difficult words and then go into the dictionary or like, "Mom, what does this mean?" Or like, you know, try to use that whole thing. I still do that.
Yeah.
Antediluvian, I heard in a book today. And I remember that means before the flood because I had to look it up when I read a book about 3-4 years ago and it stuck. Because I can still learn new things.
It's a good way to stay sharp. Yeah. Well, what we've been saying is that it was kind of like incrementally expanding your horizons as a very like indoor,
Yes.
alone and
Yes.
outside.
Yeah. Or my mom would say go out and play and I'd be like, "I have no book and go sit in the shade." Sure, it's great, but I don't need to be running around if I don't want to. And the New Hampshire see those are. Yeah, so I think my grandmother surrounding me was really encouraging me. And not that my parents didn't encourage me, but I think spending time with my grandmother in the library and also being able to take inventory of the library every summer. Somebody picked up an old book the other day and gave it to me, and I like flipped the pages in my nose just so I could smell that like mildewy library smell. Oh, so good.
Just if it, so at what point did it transition very personally into reading?
As soon as I kind of, you know, I can't really name an age, but as soon as I had an inkling of like, a little bit of sex ed. You know, my mom was lovely in giving me the whole, like, this is what happens if you lie in a very, you know, clinical, my pediatrician, I didn't hurt, but thank you, Mom. That was a lovely conversation. And then just kind of being like, oh, there's like this place that I'll get to as an adult that I really don't understand now. It's like so weird. But then just like kind of developing and having a sense of like, well, why do they read all these romance books? And that really was kind of my first even inkling of, you know, it wasn't porn. It wasn't, I mean, movies kind of, because I think, you know, growing up in the 90s, the movies, problematic, but, you know, sexual themes. But for me, it really was reading those romance novels that gave me my first kind of taste of what pleasure could be, even in its very narrow stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I would steal my grandmother's books. And then at some point she's like, well, here's Doug. Here's go to my bookshelf, find this author. Those are the really good ones. Those are my favorites.
Making that up. I don't know even what to say. That their grandmother introduced them to smell.
Yeah.
And what are you gonna have? If that's the truth, please share it. Would love to know more about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, very vanilla historical romance.
Hey,
But hey, that was her thing.
you dipped your toes in.
Yeah. So that's where I started. And then really, and then kind of took a break from, you know, the more dirty stuff for a while. And then, you know, read a lot, just on all the popular novels. I was voracious. Would just go to the bookstore, get the popular ones that I was borrowing from people. And then the romanticism itself, I've really only kind of come back to in the maybe last 10 years.
Yeah.
Does that answer your question?
It does, in fact, but
Well, then I'm going to give it to you. The 2 year story.
you know, so I'm always loved reading. That was the very beginning. Learning how to read was that portraits for me. And what I had to read on Dr. Seuss books and the line schemes and having to repeat. It was very kind of amazing. So I'm going to yes, well, no, since I've photography and fun. And my dad used to read to us at night, and my dad loves fantasy as a point. I very much take after him that way. Who knows how much because of this influence, but you know, some of these people I remember this street was in the box to my sister and I before bed, and I was really treated about it myself, and I don't know that I understood a lot of it, but I was very taken in by it. Fancy aspect of it. I've always loved magic and adventure stories, and just, you know, that's really always made me very excited. And then when I was a little older, I was 9 when I participated in fire, and that so many people my age was really like blew my mind all the way open experience. You know, obviously caveat being nowadays in those sport game only merge for the trash. Believes this is fun. And believe what had is been most before the experience has a a truly phenomenal book that was fancy. That was like, oh my god, you know. And again, I had been reading or and the old stuff reading. I really happy reading fantasy. And I still exclusively fantasy. Not specific other than other settings. I mean, you know, I do read literature and such as well. I read a lot of poetry, but I've always loved reading fantasy novels. And then the other thing wasn't until speaking of you, reading, I'm sorry that I was like, oh, but that also specifically always read fantasy stuff. That as a kid, like, it's only going to have a love class on it. And like, it's so deeply interested in love, and you know, you get into all sorts of things about that with, like, you know, I have a lot of difficulties in my habit, and so reading also real estate for me, and the idea of like a perfect love that would fulfill all of your unmet needs was just sustainable life and very constantly being able to like ways so hungry for it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I read a lot of little comments, so sometimes I was just so simple. And then reading how it's a little end of all, you're like, yikes, like, this to be with this like nebbish misogynism, even talking to the 17-year-old is so controlling, and like she offered this whole fancy she all this house, but like as a kid I was like, you know, love, oh my god. So vampires are really what's my just picture for me. Vampire fiction was a dope for me. And I said that it was not visiting her. Well, I do. Here, do for the was. Same hands. Oh, very nice. Well, of her. And so, like, I didn't really start being fun of college. And I actually read, so I read Swift's Fledgling, writing about in class intelligence. Shout out to Simone Ontario with the greatest feathers I've ever had. Coolest lady. She also got this stuff. And that book is some money. And Louise Estelle, that book is some child stuff. Is that how you educate her? Yes. So this kid's department, and I was defibrillated. And I was like, whoa. And that means that lots of bookers was in it.
Easy access.
I was listening to high school, as I said, and I thought that was kind of like, it's so naive. I was kind of like, I guess, sexually repressed growing up, although it was not religiously so, it was not culturally so. I think it might have just been like the vibes that I internalized deeply. And so, yeah, I think it was this really safe way. Maybe that, because I wasn't really watching porn, like, I just was not engaging. But when it was like intellectual and in these like, fantasy stories or in these situations that were so removed from my life, I felt like, oh, I can really, figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
And it's always kind of worked for me in terms of, like, saying most is like best thing. And so then I found Sage pulls an algebra books. I was reading just a whole bunch of stuff that was nutrition and accepted writing book reviews, and I could like my hands in student just and I saw I really stopped from reading romantic. And then last that time.
Mm-hmm.
It was getting back into reading as kind of a coping mechanism once again. And then this is I'm like, hey, I don't know swing. No, teach English classes. Hello, what? Read is trashing women to see it puddles. Like, is you trashing the most fun in this? Like, and then just like diving it in some way and just like, what do you do with the caliber this is? I like this. And I think again, like all friendship and talking to you about it, and yeah, that's cool. Like, that's great. Like, I think I reading exclusively as you have a wider reading taste than me currently. But we'll see what this will be. Because time. And it's just made me so happy. I think reconnected with that younger self. And like this is what I like. And that's in addition to like it. And also being another woman and being like reading these kind of things that would have really scandalized me when I was younger and more sexually repressed. And now I can relate and engage especially over very way. And think, I'll quickly about it as well because I not had assigning myself the main character necessarily as I used to. I can read time more foundation and now. I helps because I keep as well as personally. Started moving these next time, but I'm pretty sure too.
We all hate Nesta a little bit in the beginning.
What?
Yeah. No, she really, I did not think she was going to redeem herself. And then when she did, it was so sweet.
Well, yeah.
And she's now one of my favorite.
I remember one of the first things I said to you reading Charlotte's what is Australian is sons.
They did really.
That was like literally the first chapter. That was my first take. And you were like, correct.
You used him just
free on that.
no further.
Stanton was really travels through all of the things to plans to say today.
So anything you heard a good introduction on why we're here, who we are, what we're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also just, we're going to make it up as we go.
Absolutely. This is a very, we are two creators with ADHD.
Yes.
So, we're the only asshole we thought the last. That's it. We do have plays going forward.
We did.
So, this tweet episode passes to only happens to feel like this is a great going forward. We are going to have more focused for each podcast. And we next on the docket is our reactions to Us Finished Shadow.
Yes, because we've almost been like holding back and really diving in because we want to record it.
Yes.
And I also need to do a quick refresh on like what exactly it was that left me with my feelings. I won't get into it now.
Yeah.
But I need to do a scan.
Yes, because they were so specific. Why not? To get narrated.
Good. It's a good thing we have our text exchange from the night that I finished it.
Lost.
So here's, I think, one thing we should mention. There are books that Sarah has read and I have not.
Right.
So I'm going to read some of those books and offer my reaction and vice versa. Yeah, but also, like, though our Venn diagram does intersect with a lot, as Iron Flame couldn't finish it, I'm going to try again. It's not my cup of tea, which I think makes Sarah just want to.
Yeah. So, I mean, Hierophant was excruciating for me to read, but I enjoyed being excruciated. As opposed to, are she from maker and series part of? I'm saying that right? Tyrion?
I didn't even remember what the series name was.
Oh, to say not. There are definitely underhooks out there. You know, based on the work that script. You know, they are also in also for also break some people along ways. So, you know, there's some things that you would enjoy in electronic games, you could possibly correct
that in the past. I very much have enjoyed those.
Yeah, these actually. I don't even know what you have to use the game usually.
So you don't want to come see Richie Houghton with me at 10:30 p.m. on Friday?
Yeah, it's a little for me, right?
Just like
So the are very intriguing. You'll kind of do like a general overarching certain enough here. Later on, this is one thing must podcast. You know, spreading these down the creation, the sun, the past step in the spark, percentage of carbon, such as you should get them up. That's only sure he, but you know, she is not at the beginning and the end of the genre. I think you won't agree with that. But it isn't like it just came out and you may want to talk about it.
And because we've read nearly all of her other books.
Correct.
I think there were some expectations. And yeah, we need to go over
that's that's my stated. Yeah, this is a chat content after that we're going to be assessing first.
Yes.
Which oh boy, yes. Cannot wait.
Gotta read it. We'll read it for you guys. I think the way that you still this is something else I love. I think we build things up to each other, but also give grace light. Just made up your cup of tea, but I loved it, and I would just love to know if this is something that we have in common in our, loving of books.
Yeah. But the content line.
Yes, I'll be really good at that. I think we also mentioned we're gonna have some sort of glossary too, because we continually will learn new terms, new things, new words. There's guys, this is the very vast universe of different fishes.
It's so weird when that stuff like this naive repressed child, like because but then we were doing the stuff earlier day, and I'm like reverse hair.
Oh yes.
Let's I talk that. I'm interested. Like hair? What is called? She said, still on the texting, have chances shit. What is hair off?
And I was like, yes, I just put 2 of those in the kids' book, which I think I only got 1 of them, which
I heard my
awful. Sassy seeds. With the one that you just said can work.
The seeds. I man that I told me was his restoration looking profits. And I was definitely a question. I figured out,
ooh, and then you said really works. I'm like, okay, I'll give it a chance. Which, okay, we'll have to figure it out. I'll read.
Hey, Stevens, get ready. Shocked in. We're hoping this is a new live community.
I'm excited. I'm excited too. I'm excited.
Did you follow us on Instagram? That's Wingspan. We'll have all the links there. I expect you to do everything. Just do guys please follow.
Appreciate you tuning in.
To me. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Spread Your Wingspan podcast. We would love to hear what you think about our topics today. Be sure to connect with us on Instagram and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
You can find us on both with the handle @SpreadYourWingspan. And all the links and more fun stuff are found on our website, spreadyourwingspan.com.
And if you have a book or author you want us to check out, send us an email at hello@spreadyourwingspan.com to tell us.
We hope you tune into the next episode.